So before I start, I'd like to thank Nathan for having me here. Well, well, I mean, I think I should have do this talk back in April in Vienna, because when I was working on this slides, it just feels like, well, it's much more better than what I did in April. Anyway, now I have the opportunity to give it now. So as we always say in Chinese, the good meal is never too late. 好饭不怕晚. So let's just start. Uh, Now today I'm talking about, my talk is about the Han Dynasty rhyme. And what does it tell us? So first, let's just start with Old Chinese. Well, how do we know about Old Chinese? Uh, well, first we have the traditional materials, which is Shijing rhyming, pre-Qin rhymings, and the Xiesheng series. And these are what Qing scholars also they also use to understand the Old Chinese system. And also we have the MC system and these 连绵词、声训, these kind of materials. These are traditional materials. So basically they are also so-called the 汉语文献内证材料, the inner evidence of Chinese. And we have the new materials, the transcription materials, and the unearthed preaching writing materials, and also loanwords from other languages, Vedic, Homomian, and Kradai, this kind of stuff, and also dialect, such as Min and Huaxiang. So these are the new materials we may use today. And with all these materials, let's just say, what do we know about OC? What do we know? So far, I think we have these. The six vowel, first is the six vowel system. And then we have the medial R, the pre-initials, and these tone coders, the and S, this kind of coda. And the type A versus type B, and so on and so on. And these are all thanks to Starostin and Baxter and Pan Wuyun, Zheng Zhang, and of course Baxter and Sagar did their 2014 book. Now we have these understandings about OC. Uh, but what I want to say is we may have overlooked something with all these materials, all these evidence, and all these understandings. Still, we may have overlooked something. Uh, so the hold on. How do I? Okay. So the reconstruction of the OC finals system, whatever materials we use, is always based on Shijing, which was about 1000 BCE to 500 BCE. This is its time period, and the MC system we know today was based on 切韵, and 切韵 was written in 隋仁寿元年, which is 601 CE. So here comes the question. What happened in these 1100 years? What happened? You see, we have the OC system, and its final system was based on Shijing, and we have the 切韵 system, which is in the 601 CE. So what happened in this 1100 years? That's my question today. So there must have been dozens of sound changes, right? So what are they, and when did they happen? And what did they cost? Well, I don't. I mean, we don't. It seems that we don't know much about this, right? The classic textbook. I don't know what you may use in the in the Western world. Well, I mean, in China we use maybe 汉语饮史, Wang Li's 汉语饮史, and it's just even in his 汉语饮史we only have, okay, here's the preaching, and here's Han, and here's the 南北朝, and then, well, but still it's just it's the material is just lies like this, and we don't see we cannot see what's going on actually in these time periods. So and during the Jing to Sui, which is 266 CE to 589 CE, we have Wang Li, Ding Bangxing, and Zhou Zumo. They did quite excellent jobs to analyze these periods. But it seems to me that their work, their conclusion are still quite MC-ish. If you look at their work, they are just putting the rhymes in a MC in a Middle Chinese way instead. It seems that the rhyme system, the final system back then, is just already quite MC-ish, I want to say. So it seems that we may have overlooked a long forgotten corner, which is the Han Dynasty. And this is what I will talk about today. So what do we know about Han? And Luo Changpei and Zhou Zumo, in their 1958 book, their analysis of Han rhyming, it seems to be the first and final answer, because in a long time period, many scholars, dozens of scholars, they seem just, okay, Luo and Zhou already did their job, so we will just accept their conclusions. Li Fanggui, Starostin, and Schussler, they all follow their conclusions. Basically, they all follow their conclusions. But however, Luo and Zhou, they did make several mistakes, which was suggested by Shao Rongfen in 80s. He have these three papers about their what mistakes they have made and what they have overlooked. There's also methodology problems. Luo Changpei and Zhou Zumo we know they did their work in 50s. So their understanding of the OC final system was based on Wang Li's 1936 paper and Kalgren's reconstruction. So in their book, you may see they still have the coders like B, D, and G, these Kalgren-ish coders, and so you know the case. And the method they use to analyze the Han rhyming was basically the traditional, what we call 系连法. So far, only Wei Hongjun, he used a new method to analyze Han poems rhyme, and the others, they all followed Luo Changpei and Zhou Zumo their conclusion, and which was driven by 系连法. So let's look at Luo and Zhou's version of the Han final system. So this is the Shijing finals, which obviously this is looks quite it's just Wang Li's conclusion, basically. And this is the Western Han and the Eastern Han. So as you can see, this is a stable OC-ish pattern with only very few sound changes is going on here, especially from Western Han to Eastern Han. you can see there's only, okay, so there's yu, some of yu merged with ge, and some a part of ge merged with zhi, and a part of zhou merged with dong, and a part of yang merged with geng, this kind of stuff. So Luo and Zhou, they claim that that 在整个音韵史上in the whole phonology history, the Western Han and Eastern Han, they are familiar. They're similar. Sorry, they're similar. They're similar. So they're similar. So so we take them as a same time period. But also we can see there's something illogical here. So they say, so they say in the Western Han, Yu and Hou, the R and O in the six vowel system, they merged with each other, and there's zhi, the E merged with A, Wei Bu, zhi and Wei merged and with each other, and zhen, yin, and wen merged with each other. So, how come if they already merged, how come we can still tell the difference in Middle Chinese? You see, Middle Chinese mu, the wu, Baxter's wu, this wu is obviously is different from hou, this is uw, this, and zhi different from wei, and zhen different from xin. Xin is, they are still, we can tell the difference. And Shao Rongfen, so Shao Rongfen, he suggested Yu Bu, actually Yu Bu didn't merge with Hou Bu. And the You Bu, basically the type A of You Bu, of Wu, merged with Xiao Bu Ao in Eastern Han. So this is a sound change that Luo and Zhou had overlooked. So from the perspective of the 50s, well, Luo and Zhou did a cross-time job. Only several scholars, however, dare to challenge their conclusions. So their work cannot solve our current problem. How and when did OC system we know shifted to the MC system we know? Now, with advanced Old Chinese and Middle Chinese theory and method, I think it's time to ask, can we do a better job? And my answer, of course, is yes. And here's how I did it and what I found. I'd like to talk about two topics today, two of my findings today. Let's start with the reanalysis of Han rhyming. So though Luo and Zhou, they had give a whole rhyme list, the Yunpu of Han, so which includes dozens of enormous verses, which includes lyrics, inscriptions, all this stuff. So what I did was I redid the whole work, but I only included verses with clear authorship. I think the enormous verses, some of them you cannot tell their where and when they come from, and even and if they are genuine, you don't know about it. So what I did was I only look at the verses with clear authorship, and then I built a database here, and I marked all rhyme all by myself. And I used this statistic method suggested by Zhu Xiaonong, and its improved version by Zhang Jiankun, and this is the method that also adopted by Wei Hongjun, which is called the 韵离合指数, the rhyme mixing index, RMI. So the fundamental principle here, I'll just make it simple because I don't want to say too much about it. Principle of RMI is to treat each adjacent rhyming instance within rhyming materials as the basic statistical unit for calculating the proximity between rhyme categories. So it's different. You just know it's different from 系连法. The 系连法 is taking the whole verse as a basic statistical unit, and this is a different method. So RMI, because of what it is, so RMI is less affected by occasional rhyming, the 合韵 between different categories within a rhyme paragraph. How do we understand this? Well, suppose we have 4 rhyme paragraphs. It looks like if they suppose they look like this, and A category, we have A category and B category. These are 2 different categories. So if we look at these 4 rhyme paragraphs, and we may see, oh, by 系连法, in all paragraphs, B always rhyme with A. So by 系连法, A must have merged with A. There's no doubt. But by RMI, we have this. This is the, what we get by RMI, this number. Here's the explanation of how we get this number, but again, I'm not going to explain it too much. So basically, you can just take this as a score, as a percentage score. If it's 100, then that means they totally merge. They must have merged. And if it's so if the number is smaller than 50, then it's not unmerged, it's separated. And if it's larger than 90, it means they have merged. So the RMI here is 47, which means this kind of situation shows that the A and B, these 2 categories, were separated. And a chi-square test will be performed if, in this situation, if this number is I, and if the I is larger than 50 and smaller than 90. So just so the difference, and then I'll go on. I'll just move on. The difference between MC and OC. What's the difference between MC and OC? The next problem is this. So let's look at the vowel system of the MC. This is Wang Tianheng and Gong Xun's forthcoming work. And Wang Tianheng, she gave me this chart, which this is basically her idea of the Middle Chinese vowel system, which I totally agree with her. And the pharyngealized vowels is what she and Gong Xun, they both agree. And here we have you can see this plus high, minus low, minus high, minus low, and minus high, plus low, right? And then we have the vowel system of Old Chinese. This is the 6 vowel system, the classic 6 vowel system. Here in 6 vowel system, we have plus high and minus high, 2 contrast system. So two-way contrast system. So the main difference between MC and OC, I think, lies with their vowel system. So the pharyngealized vowels here in MC is the division 2 vowels, which derived from type A with R in Old Chinese. So the question now is when and how did OC, a two-way height contrast system, shifted to MC, a 3-way height contrast system? So my answer is Eastern Han. So you may ask me why? Why do you think it's Eastern Han rather than Western Han, or maybe Jin, or maybe other time period? So now here's why. First, let's look at the a famous theory called the first great vowel shift of Chinese. This is a very famous hypothesis. First suggested by Zhu Xiaonong. He suggested that there's a vowel chain shift between OC and MC. And Zhao Yong, he suggests this is the 长元音高化链仪, the long vowel rise chain shift. So how do we understand this? Well, this basically the FGVS, the first great vowel shift theory, claims that there's a chain shift as this. First, the I become R, and R become O become U, and then the U was pushed to O or Ao. So Luo and Zhou, they already noticed that the type A of I merged with type A Ra, and the type B, the capital A from Baxter and Saga simply means the Yubu R derived into MC JAE is they use this capital A. So they already merged in Eastern Han. And Shao Rongfen, he suggested that the type A of U already merged with Ao in Eastern Han. So if there was a FGVS, it must have happened in Eastern Han. So because that is what the whole theory suggested. So it's I become R, and at the end U become O. So what's the trigger of this FGVS? Zhao Yong, she said is because the long vowel rise, which is normal and simple. The long vowel tend to rise. And what about this Youbu? Why did it become shifted to O? It's just all because O rise to U, and U shifted to O. So everything here now seems quite plausible. I myself also believed this is the case before I worked on Han, right? So everything seems plausible until we look at what others may have overlooked. Then what happened to 支部? This actually it might be a or sound. It's a high vowel, but Baxter and Sagar, they use schwa to write this, and I also use schwa, which is much more simple to look at. So what happened to it? Okay. So first, let's look at this in Shijing. This is the RMI of in Shijing. I use hai and zhi, these two characters, to represent the type A and type B. Hai represent type A of zhi represent the type B of So it's not only the MCOJ or the MCI, not only this. They include others in type A and type B. So here you can see here in the result chart, we have the blue color, which means they are not separated. Notice that here I also include Baxter and Sagat X, which I simply reconstructed as and the conclusion is the type A and type B of haven't separated in Shijing by the RMI, the number here. And let's look at the RMI of this in the Western Han period. So Mei Cheng, he was born at the end of Qin. About the we don't know when did he born, but it seems that it's the end of Qin, and he was he was lived at the beginning of the Western Han, and in his work we can see here the RMI was 107. So clearly they are not separated yet. And Yang Xiong here, he lived at the end of the Western Han. And the RMI here is 75, and by the chi-square test we get 2.4, which means they are still unseparated. So far, nothing strange. Well, if we look at the RMI of in Eastern Han, then things started to get interesting. Look, here's the RMI of Zhang Heng, of his type A and type B of so we get the 54, and the chi-square test give 15.4, which means type A and type B of separated in Zhang Heng's work. So, and notice this Zhang Heng's this per and were which is these characters. It seems they remains in but there's were to gu, and which I myself overlooked this when I was working on my MA thesis. So the number here I present is different from the number I present in my MA thesis, but still, my MA thesis also, though there's some mistake, the number in my MC system, sorry, in my MA thesis, also it suggested the type A and type B of have separated in Zhang Heng's work. And there's Wang Chong. His RMI of these two kind of was 47. Oh, was 43. Sorry, was 43. So 43. So clearly there's a separation between these two parts. And if we look at their rhyme, we may see that the separation seems to depend on tone. So in Pingsheng, we have Zhang Heng. Pingsheng, we have Tai Neng Zai. This is read as Nai, Tai Nai Zai, and Cai Taipei, all type A. And this might be a 交韵, be cross rhyming, maybe it's actually 时 rhyme with 资 and 资 rhyme with 西, and then Tai rhyme with 才. They don't rhyme with each other. Well, I mean, I don't know about it, so I just just take them as they rhyme with each other. If we take this as a cross rhyming, then the RMI number will be even lower than 54. So and also there's 才, 代才, and then these are type A and then or type B. So, and this the only type A rhyme with type B is the only solid example is this in 七变, 胎 rhyme with 十. And in 四玄赋 we have 来 and 在 all clear. So Wang Chong in his 论衡, this is a quite interesting verse, since there's 徽来才 and there's a 开. As we know, 开 belongs to 微部, belongs to A, and in pre-Qin rhyme, we can see A, it never rhyme with but here this kai rhyme with these supposed to be these characters. So it's just like what we may see in a MC rhyme material, and Wang Chong already did this in his work. So it's clearly this have shifted to something like A or L or something. So or it won't rhyme with kai. But let's see in 仄声. In 仄声, they don't tell the difference between type A and type B. So the separation, I think, first the separation might happen in 平声, and then maybe later in 仄声. So the similar conclusion was also suggested by Wei Hongjun. He analyzes the Han poem, and he get the similar conclusion. But he didn't tell when did this separation actually happen. So the FGVS, now if we look back at the FGVS theory. So the FGVS theory was based on the violence hypothesis, suggested by Storchin and Zhang Zhentong. So the main idea of this is to explain why this wu become o while this short wu, the type B wu, remains. Since they say, okay, since there's I become R and R become O become wu, and thus wu become O. So, but my question is, what about this So there's no chain shift. So the chain shift didn't touch this actually it's a high vowel, this high vowel at all, but it falls to something like a simultaneously. So, and meanwhile, the short remains. So does is this suggesting a long vowel fall? Which is a unusual situation. Well, and there's also the type B are to all, but however, there's no short or to wu. You see, we in the Middle Chinese, the R, a part of this R merged with this O to yu, to that yu. Baxter spell it as JU. But the JU yu didn't merge with you, JUW in Middle Chinese. So, and is there really a O shifted? Is there really a O to wu? Well, I doubt it. So the FGVS hypothesis suggests that O become wu, thus ho. This ho O, this long O starts to form a new rhyme group with this short u, this yo. So it is MC this yo ho yo tong yong. So this O and it become wu supposed to be rhymed with this short wu during Eastern Han, if this is correct. And however, in Zhang Heng's verses, the RMI between this so-called long O and this short wu is only 15. Meanwhile, the RMI between this long O and the short O is 60, much more higher. And the RMI between this long wu and the short wu is 22. So it's clear that this long wu already separated with this short wu, and this wu and o seems to happen all by itself, without this o and o become wu. So there's no such chain shift as R to o and to wu. And how do we explain what we have observed? Luckily, now we have the pharyngealized hypothesis, which is perfect, a perfect explanation, it seems. And this hypothesis was suggested by Norman and then Baxter and Sagar. They suggest that OC type A have a pharyngealized initials. And this is what a quotation from Baxter and Sagar. They said in later stages of Chinese, vowels in type A syllables have lower reflexes than in type B syllables. Blah blah blah. So that of course it fit our observation of the Han rhyme. So and the feature, as we know, the feature pharyngeal raise the F1 in Arabic languages, which means the which means the vowel tend to lowering itself with pharyngeal. And Mark Miyake, once he gave a talk about this topic, and he gave the Maltese example of the pharyngealized vowels, and as we can see here, it's just like what Old Chinese may present. This pharyngalized U become O, and pharyngalized E become A. So I think that's the case if we want to explain it. So what I want to suggest is that there's no such thing as FGVS as the first great vowel shift of Chinese. However, there is the separation between type A and type B triggered by pharyngeal, by this plus pharyngeal. So notice that there's no widely accepted feature to identify this pharyngeal. So I use.
Sorry. Someone has their sound on. Can you please turn your sound off if you're not the speaker? Yeah, thank you.
So I just use this to simply identify type A and type B. Here we have the plus high become minus high in the plus pharyngeal environment. So which may look like this. And here I have a question mark because there's something about this E, which I will talk about it late as my second topic. This is the first source of the MC mid vowels. And there is, I think, however, an pharyngalized I become R, and then R becomes something like R, and which is the only chain shift in Eastern Han. So what about in the type B? So this is the type A situation. What about the type B? Why did this R become something like O or how do we explain that? Let's see. The plus pharyngeal tends to lowering vowels, and phonologically, the plus high vowel become minus high. So what about the originally if it's the minus high vowel? What happened? I think this is what happened. The minus high vowel become a plus low vowel in the pharyngalized environment. So while the minus high vowel keeps itself in the type B syllables, this is what happened in type A syllables, and this is what happened in type B syllables. So how do we understand this? Well, let's take this OC an in Eastern Han as an example. So Changpei and Zhou Zumo, they already noticed that the Zhen and Wen, these two, Zhenbu and Wenbu, in and un always rhyme with this Yuanbu. But they say there's the Yuanbu. If Zhenbu and Yuanbu rhyme with each other, the Yuanbu is always ends this Yuan, Shan, Xian, Xian, this kind of rhyme. Shan, Xian, Xian we can understand. They're all derived from N, right? They all N rhyme with in is I don't say it's normal, but understandable. But what about this Yuan? It comes from one and an. Why should? How could they an rhyme with in? It seems not that understandable. And here is some example. Let's see here, from Wang Chong and Chen Ling's work. Here we have these 尊前 N 偏 Wen. These are all N. So basically, it's just N and in rhyme with an and rhyme with OC an. So in the Eastern Han, MC this Yuan JON rhyme with Wen and Zhen was a prominent feature of Wuyue dialect. Well, in other dialects, we can also observe similar phenomenon, but it's a prominent feature of Wuyue. So this reminds me of the 该死13元, what we call the 该死13元, which is just in Nanbei this JON yuan always rhyme with on and wo, and on and WON. So this is 该死13元. So there must have been So to explain this, there must have been an an to n. So phonologically, instead of n rise to n, there's this minus high to plus low on the pharyngealized environment. So on the surface layer, this type A and keeps unchanged. However, actually, it already turned from the minus high to plus low. Meanwhile, there seems to be an to n in type B. It keeps itself as a minus high vowel phonologically. So 余部 this r become is just to keep itself as a minus high vowel. So thus this become the second source of the MC mid vowels. And here's what happened to the vowel system during Eastern Han. The original plus high, the type A shifted to minus high, and the original minus high type A shifted to a new plus low. So that's how the original two-way height contrast system shifted to the three-way height contrast system in Eastern Han. So thus we can identify Eastern Han as the end of Old Chinese and the beginning of Middle Chinese due to the vowel system, due to the shift of the vowel system. So, and this is the first topic I want to discuss today. And the second topic, okay, and there's also an explanation of 歌三开入微. So in 孔雀东南飞which is a 吴越 poem in late Eastern Han, we have I rhyme with A, which is like this. And Shen Lao Shi, he suggested that this I become A after this K, after K initial in Wu dialect, in maybe Proto-Wu, I don't know. He called it 歌三开入微. But in Aquitane's Proto-Chu-Qu, there's also other initials like words with other initials like this 智 and 习. They are all originally in OC. They are I, but they seems to be A in Proto-Chu-Qu. So that means this 歌三开入微 also happened in other initials. So after other initials, so why this 歌三开入微 only in 吴越? So I think the rhyme evidence and the modern dialect, they both suggested that 歌部 in this Han 吴越方言 keeps unchanged as a I. Why in other dialect this I shifted to R and this type B should become an A. And so in 吴越 there's just this I become I, and then the type B I in order to keep itself as a minus high vowel, it become a in the surface layer. So the 歌三开入微 was part of the separation between type A and B in Han 吴越方言. That's my explanation. Okay, so and that's also my first topic. And the second topic is it's a much smaller topic. It's about the zhi and wei problem in Han Dynasty. So Wang Li, he first suggested the zhi wei fenbu, and his conclusion, it still left many zhi wei he yun. Zhi and wei, they occasionally rhyme with each other. And Luo Changpei and Zhou Zumo, they accepted Wang Li's conclusion about zhi and wei, but they claim there's no difference between zhi and wei in Han rhyming materials. And but Baxter, he in his 1992 book, he redid zhi wei fenbu. So it seems plausible in Shi Jing. So what if we adopt his conclusion about zhi and wei? Let's see what will happen if we adopt his conclusion. If we look at the Han rhyming materials. Okay, so here's the purple color marks the characters what Wang Li think is zhi, and but Baxter think is wei. So all these materials here, Wang Li and Luo Changpei and Zhou Zumo may consider as zhi wei he yun, as E rhyme with A. But if we look at it by Baxter, test conclusion, then okay, there's only A, simply only A. So the result seems promising, especially this long verses, this really long verses of A, right? Well, unfortunately, they are still here. Here, there are still some. We have here I only mark the word the character with E, and the unmarked characters are all A. So we have this 迷行为 to this 知师知接知师接这个 blah 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 知 and so is that it? If we look at this, is that it? We can't. Does that mean we cannot tell the difference between E and A in Han rhyming materials? Well, actually, if we look back to those so-called E's, they always these characters, 自自是为为接, always we bring this kind of stuff. So when I was working on my MA thesis, I was remarked the whole rhyming materials. So whenever I come across a verse with zhi and wei, I always think why always you always these characters. So I think during Han Dynasty there must have been these. Z become Z and we become something like VA. I'm not sure about this, but I'm sure about this. This CI, gri become gray, and also this ri become ray. So this seems plausible if we look at the Han rhyming materials. So and are there any other other evidence than Han rhyming? Actually, there is. Well, let's see here. We have this Li Yun. This 知 Zheng Xuan says is 知读为其生之物也. So 知 was pronounced as this 其, and in Zhou Li there's all and there's 知 and 其. In Yi Jing we have 得其知府, and in Han Shu, the book of Han, which is a history book of Han Dynasty. This says 知 instead of 其. And in Zhou Li, Zheng Zhu also said this 知 should be this 其. And in Li Ji, there's also so many of it. And this 荀子其己速通不争先人 in 说苑, which is written by Liu Xiang, also in Han Dynasty. The 其 was written as 知. And in 说文, this 知 was written as this character with 其. And we have this 公羊传, where it says 东柱威. 公羊传 was a first record in Han Dynasty. And in 左传, this character was written as 弥. So this Mei and Ri. So if I think there must have been Bri become Bri. So you can use Mei to record this word. And I'd like to have a special thank to Ran Yuyan for showing me these materials. And in the MC system, we have Jie, which is different from Jia. The EAJ is different from Ye. The EAJ, this is still derived from this Ri, and this derived from this Re. And however, it is in the type A without R, they merged into Qiyun, this EJ in Middle Chinese. So as Zhou Zumo, he suggested the MC EJ was formed in Liu Song. So these two parts merged in Liu Song. Meanwhile, there's no sign of independent division 2 rhyme. So there's no difference between division 2 vowels and other type A vowels. So which means when this E become EJ and A become EJ, there cannot already be this this ri become EAJ. So thus we may expect this ri would join the sound change with E become this A, and then that this should merge with this. This ri should be merged with re, and since as we know, this rin become this EAN and merge with ren like this character here. So however, that's not the case. Well, because there is this ri become re long before this E become A. And in Zhou Zumo's 1996 book, he said this MC Jie EAJ and Qi EJ, which derives from this OCE, rhyme with high this OJ and Hui WOJ during Weijing period. Well, it may seem very strange to us if we look at this in a classic view of OC, how OC shifted to MC. We may expect it. Okay, so this is E, and by pharyngealization, it's lower to A, and by R, it becomes this EAJ. Maybe something like A, or something. So, but it's always keep itself as a front vowel. How could a front vowel rhyme with here with this high and hui? They are always non-front vowels. So, but if only this ri become ri, then this won't be a problem. Let's look at his material here. Here we have xie and I, huai, hui, jie. Okay, gri become rhyme with this I, right? And gri this. So and this is the division 2, and here where is it? So okay, here this huai I li, so gri and I and this is the division 4. So it's RIJ, right? So it must have shifted to R, right? So this rhyme perfectly. So this is my conclusion and its evidence. And that's all for my talk today. And I'd like to end it with this verse from Li Heng's 调张恒文, which is 河水有节，君声永流. The streams shall dry, and still thy voice shall flow. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you for this great talk. Very, very dense and interesting. And I'll say, I mean, I'm always impressed with how learned and charming is Zhang Zhentong. So I'm glad you agreed to this invitation. I want to ask you a question. Can you go back to any of these RMI charts? Talk us through these 4 quadrants and like which does, you know, I think for me certainly, and then for others also, you know, I understand that you're prioritizing like in one stanza, if let's say the stanza is 4 characters A, you're prioritizing that in a kind of pairwise way. But I didn't quite, yeah. So let's just look at this one. So here there are 10 times when A rhymes with A, or you just tell us what each of these 4 quadrants means. Yeah.
I just suppose we have these 2 categories, which is A and B, and if it rhyme like this, then 系联法 will tell us that they already merged. But by RMI, it will show that they are still separated.
Okay,
That's
so here's what I find confusing is, so in the upper left hand we have a 10, yeah? So this means
Yes.
10 times in which an A character is used. So there are
in which A character is rhymed.
Yeah, and that's 10 pairs of AA rhymes. Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the 9 is also easy. That's B rhyming with B. But what I don't understand is that, like, you know, look, A rhyming with B is the same as B rhyming with A. So what's the difference between the 6 and the 47?
So 47 is the So 47 is what we get is this I, this I we get by calculating all these numbers. What we get is this 47, which is this I.
Oh, so the 47, I see. Okay. So the number of times that the A rhymes with B is 6. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's why you have this line there. And the 40, I see. And the 47 is a number that you derive.
Yes.
Through some math that's on the left here. Is it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Fine. That makes more sense now. And then I guess the one thing that I will ask then is that the categories have to be kind of a prioristic in a certain way, right? Like they're categories taken from Wang Li's analysis of the Chijing or something, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So some part of me, the Baconian in me feels like I'm already uncomfortable, but it's fine. It's an improvement. Yeah. Okay. So now you can unshare your screen maybe, and we'll ask whether there are other people who have questions.
Well, actually, I've seen a question here. Okay, it's in Chinese, so I'll just answer it in Chinese. So 他说这个兹兹诗维等支部字在东汉进入微部，但为何他们在中古切韵中回归支韵而非微韵呢？是回头演变吗？是这样的，就是你可以看它的声母条件，就是你可以看它的声母和的条件，兹兹诗这种，像这种它是润音，对吧？它润音声母的条件下 ，a 就会前化进入一，就会前化回去，不管它是原来什么部。还有包括它这里还有这个是这个有 r 介音的情况，在 r 介音条件下，它仍然会前化回到支部。这就没问题。唯一的问题是这个为，这个为呢，这个就像我刚才说的，这个 wij 这一类是不是真的变成了那个 wj 那个 va 那一类？我其实不确定，那是我所不确定的，只是我那么写了。但是你非要解释的话，它是由于前面还有个一的回去了。但是这个解释我自己也认为不是很好。但总而言之，另外的两类它这样变回去，是因为它本身就是跟着大的音变又那个条件就变回去了，是这样一个原因。变方向正好相反的话，那就是那我实在找不出那些东西。你说它全部变成支部了，那好，就是支转入微，一变成 a， 我现在可以有条件把它在中古又变回去，变回支，对吧？它的音变条件是很明白的。但是如果这些微部字全部都就是要知道，你这里问的就是涉及到几乎全部的微部字了，因为支部字的出现是有倾向性的，微部没有。微部就是全部的微部字都在那里。你的意思是说，全部的 a 都变成了一，那它中古为什么又回到十微分开的状态了？这没有道理。就是说，如果我认为支变成了微，这一部分支变成了微，我是有条件让它在中古回到它中古的那个格局的。但是如果我认为 a 微全变成了支，那我就没有任何条件能够让它再分离出去了。
You have one kind of comment just on the vowel chain shift, because I think that was a very interesting idea, and I do agree with you that the lowering, especially for Zhou, makes more sense with the pharyngealization hypothesis. One other piece of evidence that is a challenge for the vowel chain shift hypothesis is that it only happens in open syllables, never in closed syllables, which is a little bit strange for languages that have the we call it the upper exit principle, when you have something like u becoming o and then ao, that sort of thing. Usually that'll happen across the board regardless if the syllable is open or closed. So if what we are reconstructing is pharyngealization were length, like in the older hypothesis, like the Starostin one, then we'd expect it to see it in other places, and we don't. We don't see that type of vowel break. We don't have like om and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just you probably had already considered that. I just wanted to add that.
No, I have not. I have not. So thank you.
on that point though, maybe the open syllables were a little bit longer, and that's why we see more of like the upwards motion. Actually, okay, here's a question I do want to ask you is, what do you think is the value of like yu for like the type A version from ah to there's a little bit of rising. I
Yeah.
wonder how you reconstruct that.
Well, well, I don't have a certain idea how to reconstruct it because but the rhyming evidence is quite tricky. You see, I just maybe it sounds maybe it's a instead of a oh, but I just don't know. The evidence is so rare, so it's
On that
I
point
don't
too, for
know.
the difference between so the two yu of Middle Chinese, yu mei yuan the yu and yus and fish, is there good evidence for those two in type B being separate during the Han period for some poets?
Well, yeah. I think there is. I need to I need to look back to again to my MSSS because it has been you know 3 years. So I have already forgot many of my conclusion. But yeah, I think so. I think there is separation. There is separation if can be tell by RMI. Yes.